Okay, so after my last long form video about the flywheel effect and how I've used that guideline, principle, rule, methodology in my life to get me to where I am today, however you want to define that, for better for worse. It occurred to me after that video that there was another thing, another principle, another guiding rule that I use in my life, and that's called the 80-20 rule. And so the 80-20 rule was originally coined by an economist, Pareto, and he called it the Pareto principle. And the idea here is, and it was based on economic theory for businesses. And the idea here is that 80% of a company's output is a result of only 20% of its work. So the idea here is that most companies waste a lot of 80% of their time working on crap that doesn't actually go towards their bottom line. And to back up a little bit, if you were to ask me to describe myself in one word, the first thing that would come to my mind is slacker. And that's been been with me, and that's how I view myself. Now I've always thought of myself as a slacker. So when I had heard of the 80-20 rule, so the 80-20 rule, again, started out as an economic principle. But what's happened over the years is it's been applied to all kinds of facets of life, from personal relationships to sports to all kinds of things, just people's and just in people's general lives. And a person named Richard Koch, however you want to pronounce his last name, Koch, he took this one paragraph principle that he used to describe businesses on top after Pareto, and it kind of expanded it into a book, and then several books and a whole lifestyle design type world. When I had heard of the 80-20 rule, it dawned on me that was exactly how I have been living my life up until that point and continue to do so. So taking the 80-20 rule and being a slacker, how do I get to what I'm doing now and how I've managed to accomplish these things that I've managed to do is because I don't mire myself in the details, the minutia. I try to get the bullet points, the basic skills necessary to accomplish something. My whole life is just one giant application of 80-20 rule, from HVAC to home renovations to bicycle racing and now to American Ninja Warrior. This is the reason why I'm not a lawyer and why I'm not a doctor, or someone who's has to be an absolute expert on something, and has to spend a lot of time and a lot of schooling on something. That's just not my bag, and that's just not me. I'd rather take my 20% here, learn something, another 20%, learn something, 20-20, 20-20, 20-20. So for a couple of examples, and is my track cycling career. This is probably one of the better ones, and I'll get to the other one, the more recent one, the American Ninja Warrior stuff. So the track cycling one is interesting because what confounds people is that track cycling is only done in a velodrome. You can't do it on the road. And I've managed over the years to become extremely competitive in this very, very niche discipline of cycling without having a track anywhere near me. Anywhere near me. 3.5 hours is the closest track to me. And against all odds, I've managed to be very good at it. And how I managed to do that is the 80-20 rule in a nutshell. What I've done is, and it's the same kind of methodology I've applied to everything else in my life, is I need to know the bullet points. I need to know what are the basic skills required to become not so much a master of something, but extremely, extremely proficient at it. what are the strengths that I need, what are the weaknesses I need to address, more importantly, and what kind of time frame do I have, and that's how I've managed to become a good track cycling racer. Is I've worked on all these little components, and I maximize my time, and I at the last moment put it all together. Sometimes a little bit too long I waited, but put it all together, and then I execute. And it has been incredibly effective for me, and it even goes to now just recently with the American Ninja Warrior stuff, and just the last 2 weeks going to the gym, having the Nova Ninja gym, having not done any real obstacle course type training other than in my backyard, and I'll get to this. So I hadn't been to a gym in 11 months, and my backyard gym is nice, but it's a great example of working on a little part and assembling all the parts together. So my backyard gym is great, but I can't really do a whole lot there because it's just plain not safe. I don't have enough crash pads. I don't have enough space. I can't build my gym large enough, so I'm constantly worried about smashing into a support, or not so much of a crumbling, but it's just not as stable as a commercial gym. And so it's just the last 2 visits over the last 2 weekends, I've managed to not only come back to where I was 11 months ago off immediately, but actually have even more skills and more strength and more ability than I did when I left. And that is in itself, in my opinion, incredibly remarkable. Being able to complete and master the warped wall with only 2 attempts is kind of crazy. And when I was trying before I left 11 months ago, and here I was, for 11 months, I visualized what I needed to do. I've worked on the finer skills that I needed to assemble together in order to complete the warped wall, or however you want to describe what it is when you're able to run up a 14 foot 3 inch wall. But yeah, so I was able to do it, and a bunch of other little skills that I've managed to do over the last couple of weeks at the gym. It's the 80-20 rule. I worked on the strength. I worked on the grip strength. I worked on the explosiveness, all of these little things. And I roll into the gym 2 weeks ago and put it all together. And one of the reasons why the 80-20 rule works for me is because I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'm not afraid to do my own research. I'm not afraid to look like an amateur. And this is something I learned from my father, and one of his absolute greatest strengths, next to his optimism, was his ability to not hesitate to ask questions. And he would, because I remember him telling me this, and he said to me, "Will, you're never going to learn anything if you don't ask someone questions." And this is coming from a certain person in a generation where a lot of males, even to this day, are afraid to ask questions because it'll make you look stupid or appear dumb. And my father never had that inhibition, didn't have an ounce of that inhibition. I would kind of cringe sometimes when he would ask people, but he always did that out of a thirst for knowledge and to take that shortcut, because he realized, I don't need to know all of this background. I just need to know, hey, how do I fix this pipe? How do I get that thing, that 2,000-pound stove, up a flight of stairs without breaking my back or killing someone? And he wouldn't hesitate, and that was one of the greatest gifts he ever gave me, is that thirst for knowledge. And that's what's allowed me to kind of apply all these things and to try to, I always said, you can learn anything on YouTube now. And it's over the last 20 years where I think my knowledge base has just gone exponential because of the internet. I will not hesitate to whip out my phone, jump on the keyboard, to Google something, to comb through a forum or comb through a Reddit subgroup to get the knowledge, the working knowledge I need in order to achieve something, or in order to have, a functional ability to do something like cooking or building a deck or building a ninja gym or renovating a basement. These skill sets seem just completely random, but they're not, because of the commonality between all of these skills was that they were learned using the 80-20 rule. So, not to drag on this anymore, look into it yourself, use Google. And I just think in my life, using the flywheel effect with the 80-20 rule has become an absolutely effective combination of life skill / methodology that I wish more people would utilize, because we can get a lot further as a species if they did. That might sound sanctimonious, but I don't think so, because it's that optimism, it's that thirst for knowledge that's going to make us better. So thanks for watching. Stay strong, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.